Chapter 7. The Galactic Hunt Part 1. The signal has spread silence. For several long moments, no one spoke. The bridge of Jack's ship was dimly lit by emergency lights, their crimson glow reflecting across the polished metal walls. Outside the viewport, the stars looked unchanged, peaceful, silent. But Jack knew better. Somewhere beyond those distant lights, something had awakened. The eye interrupted the silence. "Captain." Jack turned toward the central console. "Report. There has been a sudden increase in hyperspace activity across the sector." "How many vessels?" The eye hesitated. "I'm unable to calculate." Jack frowned. "Why?" "Because they are not using known hyperspace technology." A holographic map of the galaxy expanded above the bridge. Tiny points of light began appearing one after another. At first, 10, then 50, then hundreds. Within seconds, thousands. Each signal appeared for only a fraction of a second, before vanishing again. "They're jumping without gateways," Jack whispered. "No," the eye replied. "They are folding space." Jack stared at the map. Every signal was moving in the same direction, toward him. A cold weight settled in his chest. "They know where we are," the eye answered with unsettling certainty. "No, Captain. They know who you are." The silver lines beneath Jack's skin glowed faintly, almost as if they had heard the words. Suddenly, every light aboard the ship flickered. A transmission forced its way through every communication channel. No frequency, no encryption. It simply appeared. One voice, calm, ancient, unmistakably intelligent. "Heir, you have awakened. By doing so, you have awakened us all." The transmission ended. The bridge fell silent again. Then another signal arrived. This one was different. Human. Distorted by static. "This is the exploration cruiser Aegis. Any surviving vessel. If you receive this message, do not answer unknown transmissions." A violent burst of interference. Then the terrified voice returned. "They're inside the ships. They don't board. They appear. As if they were always there." Gunfire echoed in the background. Someone screamed. The transmission cut off forever. Jack slowly lowered his head. "This has already begun." Before anyone could speak again, the proximity alarm erupted. Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. Jack looked up. The main screen zoomed outward. One ship, then another, then another. Within seconds, an entire fleet surrounded the sector. But these were not warships. They bore different designs, different technologies, different insignias. Human, alien, ancient, modern. Civilizations that had never met were now standing side by side. All of them had come for one reason. The eye displayed a single line beneath the fleet. 178 confirmed factions. Jack stared at the impossible number. The galaxy had never been united. Not once. Not in recorded history. Yet now, 178 civilizations had arrived in the same place. Not to negotiate. Not to explore. To claim. The last heir. Then, one vessel detached itself from the formation. It moved slowly toward Jack's ship. No weapons charged. No shields activated. Only a single request appeared on the main display. "Incoming diplomatic transmission," the eye asked quietly. "Captain, do we answer?" Jack looked at the countless ships filling the darkness. He had the strange feeling that the next words spoken aboard his ship could decide the future of every civilization in the galaxy. The bridge remained silent. 178 fleets drifted through the darkness like an ocean of steel and light. Not a single weapon was fired. Not a single shield was raised. The galaxy was holding its breath. Jack stared at the blinking message on the main display. "Incoming diplomatic transmission." His hand hovered above the console. The eye spoke softly. "Captain, if this is a trap, opening the channel could expose our systems." Jack kept his eyes on the fleet. If they wanted us dead, they've had plenty of opportunities. He pressed accept. The stars vanished. A circular chamber appeared on the holographic display. 7 figures stood beneath towering columns of pale crystal. No one spoke at first. Each representative looked completely different. A tall woman with silver skin and glowing blue eyes. A massive warrior encased in black armor, his face hidden behind an ancient mask. A being of shimmering energy with no physical form. An elderly human wearing the insignia of the long-forgotten colonial alliance. And 3 others whose appearance defied every known biological classification. 7 delegates. 7 civilizations. 1 purpose. The elderly human stepped forward first. My name is Admiral Elias Vos. I speak on behalf of the Free Systems. His expression was calm, but his eyes revealed exhaustion. We have searched for you for 32 years. Jack frowned. That's impossible. No one knew I existed. Vos gave a faint smile. No. You didn't know who you were. Before Jack could answer, the armored warrior interrupted. You waste time. His voice echoed like thunder. The Heir belongs to no government. He must be surrendered to the Covenant. The silver-skinned woman immediately objected. You would turn him into a weapon. The warrior remained unmoved. A weapon is exactly what the galaxy requires. The chamber erupted into argument. Voices overlapped. Accusations filled the air. Ancient rivalries surfaced in seconds. Jack watched in silence. The Eye quietly whispered, "They're not negotiating with us. They're negotiating over you." Suddenly, a soft laugh echoed through the chamber. Everyone fell silent. Jack looked toward the final delegate. Until now, the figure had remained hidden beneath a dark hood. Slowly, the stranger stepped into the light. Unlike the others, he looked completely human. Simple grey robes. No insignia. No visible technology. Only calm grey eyes. He met Jack's gaze, then bowed respectfully. My name is Kalen. I represent no empire, no fleet, no throne. The armored warrior scoffed. Then you have no voice here. Kalen ignored him. His eyes never left Jack. I come on behalf of those who have watched your bloodline since before humanity learned to write. The bridge became deathly quiet. Jack felt the silver lines beneath his skin begin to glow. Who are you? Kalen answered without hesitation. We are the Keepers. We do not rule. We remember. The words struck Jack harder than he expected. Remember what? Seelan's expression darkened. The promise the architects failed to keep. The holographic chamber trembled. The Eye suddenly interrupted. Captain, I'm detecting an unauthorized transmission. What transmission? It isn't entering our systems. It's already inside them. Every screen flickered. Every hologram dissolved. The faces of the delegates vanished. In their place appeared a single sentence, written in the same ancient symbols Jack had seen beyond the gate. Only he could read them. Everyone else saw meaningless patterns. Jack whispered the translation aloud. Do not trust the Keepers. Before anyone could react, Kalen looked directly at Jack. His calm expression had disappeared. For the first time, he seemed genuinely alarmed. He spoke only 4 words. They found this place. At that exact moment, every fleet surrounding Jack's ship disappeared from the sensors. Not destroyed, not retreating, simply gone. The Eye's voice shook. Captain, they didn't jump. They were erased. Outside the viewport, the stars began to fade, one by one, as though the galaxy itself had started to disappear. Darkness. Not the darkness of space. The darkness inside the ship. For 3 long seconds, every system aboard Jack's vessel went silent. No engine noise. No ventilation. No artificial gravity. Only silence. Then, the emergency lights returned. Dim. Blood red. The Eye spoke first. Captain. Its voice sounded strained. I have lost access to 23 internal systems. Jack turned sharply. What happened? I don't know. I did not shut them down. A warning flashed across the central display. Unauthorized access detected. Jack's pulse quickened. From where? The Eye paused, then answered. From inside the ship. Every instinct told Jack the answer was impossible. No one had boarded. Every airlock was sealed. Every compartment had been scanned. The vessel was empty, or at least, it had been. A metallic clang echoed somewhere deep below the bridge. Another. Then another. Slow, deliberate, as if someone were walking through corridors that should have been deserted. Jack reached for his sidearm. Activate internal cameras. I cannot. They are offline. What about motion sensors? No response. The footsteps stopped. Silence returned. Then, a whisper. Barely audible. Almost lost beneath the hum of the emergency generators. Jack. He froze. That voice. His mother's voice. Soft. Gentle. Exactly as he remembered. Jack. Come find me. His breathing became shallow. No. The architect had warned him. Do not trust memories. The eye interrupted. Captain. I'm detecting biological traces. Location. Deck 7. Jack frowned. That's impossible. There is no Deck 7. The ship only had 6. The eye answered quietly. It does now. A new section had appeared on the ship's blueprint, exactly as the hidden chamber had appeared before. Only this time, no authorization was required. The unknown deck had created itself. Jack stared at the holographic map. Long corridors, circular rooms, a central chamber. None of them had existed an hour ago. Something had changed the ship. Or perhaps, something had been waiting to awaken. The metallic footsteps resumed. Closer now. Much closer. Jack stepped into the corridor outside the bridge. The emergency lights flickered. Every reflection in the polished walls lagged behind his movement by a fraction of a second. He stopped. His reflection did not. It kept walking. 3 more steps. Then slowly turned to face him. Jack stared in horror. The face was his own, but older, tired. Its eyes glowed with pale silver light. The reflection smiled. Jack did not. Then the reflection spoke. You still believe this ship belongs to you? Its voice was identical to Jack's, calm, emotionless. It doesn't. The lights went out again. When they returned, the reflection was normal. Jack stood frozen. Captain, the eye shouted. I've found the intruder. Where? A long silence followed. Then the answer came. Everywhere. At that instant, every display aboard the ship activated simultaneously. One image appeared across every screen. A single eye. The same eye Jack had seen before. It blinked, then vanished. The eye's voice trembled. I know what happened. What? It never entered the ship. It has always been here. Before Jack could respond, a deafening alarm echoed through every deck. Warning primary core override initiated. Jack's heart sank. Someone, or something, had just taken control of the ship. The alarm stopped, not because the danger had passed, because something aboard the ship had silenced them. The bridge fell into an uneasy calm. Only the eye remained active. Its voice had become quieter, almost cautious. Captain, I no longer have full control. Jack kept his eyes on the tactical display. Who does? A long pause followed. Finally, the eye answered. The ship itself. Jack looked toward the walls. For the first time since he had awakened as the heir, he noticed something strange. The metal wasn't metal anymore. It was moving, almost imperceptibly, like living tissue breathing beneath polished steel. The silver veins beneath his skin pulsed in response. The ship was alive. Suddenly, a deep vibration echoed through every deck. Not mechanical, organic. The entire vessel seemed to awaken from an ancient sleep. Then the floor beneath Jack's feet shifted. Panels slid apart without sound. A spiral staircase slowly emerged from the center of the bridge. It descended into darkness. The eye spoke. I have no record of this structure. It did not exist. Jack smiled faintly. It existed. It simply wasn't meant for us. Without another word, he began the descent. Each step carried him deeper into the unknown. The air grew colder. The silence heavier. The walls changed from smooth alloy to translucent crystal. Symbols shimmered beneath their surface. Not written. Growing. As though the walls themselves were alive. At the bottom of the staircase stood an immense circular door. No handle. No lock. Only a single silver imprint. A human hand. Jack slowly placed his palm against it. The silver veins beneath his skin flared brilliantly. The door opened. Beyond it lay a chamber unlike anything he had ever seen. An endless library. Floating crystals stretched farther than the eye could see. Each crystal contained fragments of light, memories, voices, entire civilizations preserved within silent prisms. Jack stepped forward. One crystal drifted toward him. The moment he touched it, the chamber vanished. He stood beneath an unfamiliar sky. 3 suns illuminated a world of oceans made of liquid glass. Millions of beings walked peacefully across crystal bridges. Children laughed. Music filled the air. The civilization was alive, thriving. Then, the sky darkened. Without warning, every star disappeared. People looked upward in confusion. A child reached for her mother's hand. The ocean stopped moving. Time itself seemed to hesitate. And then, the darkness arrived. No explosion. No invasion. No armies. The people simply vanished, one after another, leaving behind empty cities, silent streets, abandoned worlds. The vision dissolved. Jack found himself back inside the archive. His breathing was uneven. What was that? For the first time, the ship answered. Not through speakers, not through the eye. Its voice resonated through every crystal, deep, ancient, calm. The first silence. Jack slowly turned. You can speak. We always could. You never asked. The chamber glowed softly. We are not a ship. We are an archive. We were built to remember when no one else remained. Jack stood motionless. So all this time, I wasn't piloting a vessel, no. You were being guided. The words echoed through the chamber. Every choice, every signal, every impossible encounter. Had the archive led him here? Or had it merely been waiting for him to become ready? Before Jack could ask, every crystal in the chamber suddenly darkened. Thousands of lights went out simultaneously. One remained. Only one. It floated slowly toward him, unlike the others. Its light was black. Not empty. Black. The archive's voice became urgent. Do not touch it. Jack frowned. Why? A long silence followed. Then came the answer. Because that memory does not belong to us. At that exact moment, the black crystal cracked open on its own. Something inside opened its eyes. The black crystal pulsed once, then again. Every light inside the archive faded. The silence became unbearable. Jack took an instinctive step backward. The archive's voice echoed through the chamber. Do not look into it. It was never meant to awaken. But it already had. The crack widened. From inside the crystal, a single beam of black light emerged. It did not illuminate the chamber. It consumed the light on it. Jack felt an invisible force pulling at his thoughts. Not his body. His memories. Faces flashed before his eyes. His childhood. His first flight. His mother's smile. The destruction of the Erebus. The gate. The hunter. Each memory flickered, then vanished. Jack fell to one knee. No. The archive's voice thundered. Fight it. The crystal feeds on memory. Jack clenched his fists. If he lost his memories, who would he be? The black light suddenly stopped. A figure stepped out of the fractured crystal. It looked human. A young man. Barefoot. Wearing a simple dark robe. His face was strangely familiar. Not because Jack had seen him before. Because the stranger looked almost exactly like him. Only older. His silver eyes carried neither anger nor kindness. Only endless weariness. The stranger smiled. So, the archive finally found another one. Jack slowly stood. Who are you? The stranger tilted his head. I've had many names. None of them matter anymore. What matters is that I was there before you. The chamber fell completely silent. Jack stared at him. That's impossible. So they told you. The stranger began walking through the archive. None of the crystals reacted to his presence. They always say there can be only one. They lied. Jack's heartbeat quickened. You survived. The man laughed softly. No. I failed. He stopped before one of the glowing memory crystals. I opened the gate. I believed I could save everyone. Instead, I gave them a path. Jack felt the room grow colder. Them. The former heir closed his eyes. The ones you call the darkness. They have another name. But your language cannot pronounce it. The archive interrupted immediately. You must leave. He should not be here. The stranger smiled. You still fear the truth? No. The archive replied. We fear what truth costs. The former heir turned back toward Jack. Do you know why your mother warned you not to trust the architects? Jack said nothing. Because they sacrificed worlds, entire civilizations, not out of cruelty, but to delay the darkness. Jack's expression changed. No. They were protecting us. The stranger nodded. Every world they abandoned, bought another century. Every gate they sealed, saved billions. Jack's thoughts raced. Everything humanity believed about the architects had been wrong. They had never ruled the galaxy. They had stood between it and extinction. The stranger stepped closer. So now you understand. There are no heroes. There are no villains. Only those willing to pay the price. Jack looked him directly in the eyes. What price did you pay? For the first time, the former heir looked away. My family. My world. My name. He touched his own chest. I can remember saving the galaxy, but I cannot remember the face of my own daughter. Jack froze. The silence that followed felt heavier than any battle. The former heir looked back at him. The archive will ask you to make the same choice. And when that day comes, you will discover the cruelest truth of all. It never asks for your life. It asks for the memories you cannot bear to lose. The black crystal began to collapse. The stranger's body dissolved into countless fragments of dark light. His final words echoed through the chamber. When you meet me again, I won't remember who you are. The crystal shattered. Every fragment vanished. The archive slowly restored its light. After a long silence, it spoke. He should never have awakened. Jack remained motionless. His hand trembled slightly. Not from fear. From understanding. The greatest sacrifice was not dying. It was living long enough to forget everyone you had once loved. The archive fell silent. Its endless holes of crystal glowed once more, but something had changed. The light was weaker, as if awakening the black memory had drained the ancient structure itself. Jack stood motionless. The words of the former heir still echoed in his mind. It never asks for your life. It asks for your memories. Before he could speak, the entire chamber trembled. Not once, 3 times. Each impact stronger than the last. Fragments of crystal drifted from the ceiling. The archive spoke immediately. They have arrived. Jack looked up. The darkness, no. The archive paused. Worse. Jack frowned. Worse than the force that destroyed the architects. The answer came without hesitation. The ones who serve it. The bridge of the ship erupted with alarms. Jack sprinted through the crystal corridors as the walls pulsed with red light. The eye was already waiting. Its voice was sharper than ever. Captain, 36 unidentified vessels have entered the sector. The tactical display came alive. 36 black ships formed a perfect circle around the archive's location. They were unlike anything Jack had seen before. No engines. No visible weapons. No insignias. Each vessel looked as though it had been carved from a single piece of obsidian. The air zoomed in. There are no life signs. No crew. No artificial intelligence. Jack stared at the display. Then who's flying them? The archive answered through every speaker aboard the ship. No one. They fly themselves. Without warning, one of the black ships disappeared. A second later, it reappeared only a few hundred meters from Jack's vessel. No hyperspace jump. No acceleration. It simply ignored distance. Then another appeared. Then another. Within seconds, the entire fleet surrounded the ship. The eye's voice trembled. They're not attacking. They're scanning. Jack looked through the forward viewport. The nearest vessel reflected nothing. Not even the stars. Its surface was perfectly dark. Then, a line appeared across its hull. A glowing silver line. An eye slowly opened. Jack froze. It was the same symbol. The eye. The one he had seen in the gate. The one that had appeared throughout the ship. 36 ships. 36 eyes. Watching him. Only him. The silence broke. Not with weapons. With a voice. It came from every direction. Deep. Ancient. Without emotion. Identity confirmed. Located. Judgment will begin. Jack stepped forward. Who are you? Several long seconds passed. Then the answer came. We are the witnesses. The word sent a chill through the archive. Its voice lowered. Almost to a whisper. They were supposed to be extinct. Jack looked from the display to the crystal walls. Who are the witnesses? The archive answered slowly. They do not conquer. They do not rule. They observe. They decide. And once they pass judgment. No civilization has ever survived. One of the obsidian ships slowly opened. Not mechanically. It unfolded like a flower of black crystal. A single figure emerged, tall, wrapped in a cloak that moved as though underwater. Its face remained hidden, yet Jack felt its gaze. The figure took one step into open space. No suit. No protection. Space itself bent around it. Then, it began walking. Across the vacuum. Straight toward Jack's ship. Every step created ripples among the stars. The eye's voice shook. Captain, it doesn't need a ship. The figure stopped only a few meters from the bridge. It slowly raised one hand. Not in greeting. Not in threat. In recognition. Jack instinctively lifted his own hand. The silver veins beneath his skin ignited. For one impossible second, both hands glowed with the same ancient symbols. The cloaked figure tilted its head. Then spoke. Only one sentence. Softly. Almost with regret. You are not ready. In the next instant, all 36 ships vanished. The mysterious figure disappeared with them. No explosion. No jump signature. Nothing. Only silence. The archive remained still for several moments. Then it spoke. They have seen enough. Jack looked toward the stars. What happens now? The archive answered with quiet certainty. They will return. And next time, they will not come to judge. A warning suddenly flashed across every screen. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. The eye widened the tactical map. Hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands of signals appeared across the galaxy, not converging on Jack, converging on something else. At the very center of the Milky Way, the archive whispered words that chilled everyone aboard the ship. The first gate is opening. The words of the archive echoed through the bridge. The first gate is opening. No one moved. The tactical display continued to fill with hyperspace signatures. Thousands. Then tens of thousands. Every minute, more fleets changed course. Not toward Jack. Toward the galactic core. The eye enlarged the holographic map. Every known civilization. Every unexplained signal. Every ancient beacon. All converged on a single point. The center of the Milky Way. Jack broke the silence. Can we reach it before they do? The archive answered immediately. No. Jack looked up. Then we've already lost. No. The archive replied calmly. You have finally begun. The crystal walls surrounding the bridge shimmered. For the first time, the archive projected the complete star map. Jack's eyes widened. The map he had seen throughout his journey had been incomplete. Hidden pathways spread across the galaxy like veins of silver light. 7 radiant symbols pulsed among the stars. Not one gate. 7. Each one sealed. Each one connected to the next. The archive spoke with quiet certainty. The architects did not build a single gate. They built a network. Jack stepped closer to the projection. If there are 7, why has no one found the others? The answer came in a whisper. Because they were never hidden. They were erased. Suddenly, one of the 7 symbols changed color. From silver to crimson. The archive dimmed. The first gate has awakened. A wave of energy swept across the holographic map. Instantly, 3 more gates answered. Not opening. Cooling. The silver veins beneath Jack's skin flared with unbearable intensity. For a brief moment, he saw another vision. 7 enormous structures standing beyond the edge of the universe. Not floating in space, holding it together. Each gate was more than a passage. It was a lock, and something was trying to open every one of them. Jack staggered backward. What are they locking away? The archive remained silent, long enough for Jack to understand. It didn't want to answer. It was afraid. Then they interrupted. Captain, we're receiving hundreds of encrypted requests. The display flooded with incoming messages, military channels, scientific councils, merchant alliances, independent colonies, unknown civilizations. Every one of them carried the same request. We request an alliance. Jack stared at the screen. Hours ago, many of these fleets would have gone to war with one another. Now, they were asking for unity, not because they trusted each other, because they feared what was coming. Jack looked toward the stars, then spoke quietly. Open a galaxy-wide channel. The eye hesitated. To whom? Jack answered. To everyone. Within seconds. Every fleet. Every station. Every listening post. Every civilization still alive received the same transmission. Jack stepped forward. His voice was calm, steady, filled with a determination he had never known before. If you're hearing this, my name is Jack. I'm not your ruler. I'm not your savior. I'm just the first person to understand what we're facing. He paused. The enemy doesn't care what language we speak. It doesn't care what worlds we come from. It doesn't care who wins our wars. If we remain divided, we will disappear. One civilization at a time. Silence filled the channel. Then Jack continued. I don't ask you to trust me. I ask you to look at the stars. They're disappearing. And if we do nothing, so will we. For several long seconds, no one answered. Then one signal appeared. Alliance accepted. Another. Then another. Within moments, hundreds of confirmations arrived. Thousands followed. Across the galaxy, ancient enemies lowered their weapons. Not further, but long enough. The first alliance had been born. The archive spoke for the last time. There is hope. Jack looked toward the 7 glowing gates. There has to be. At that exact moment, the crimson symbol marking the first gate vanished. The holographic map recalculated. The archive's voice changed. For the first time, it sounded afraid. No. Impossible. Jack turned sharply. What happened? The answer came as the stars around the galactic core began to disappear. The first gate. Has already opened. The bridge fell silent. Then, a single unknown signal emerged from beyond the gate. Not words. Not numbers. Just one unmistakable heartbeat. Thump. The same heartbeat Jack had heard at the beginning of his journey. Only now, it was echoing across the entire galaxy.